What is going on, everybody? Davey Crocko. Welcome back to the Dr. Crocko channel. How is everybody doing? It's been a very long day. Some people are out of work. Some people are just, taking it easy. I've gotten a lot of texts from people over the last couple of days, especially today, telling me, hey man, I'm just going to take advantage of having a few days off. A lot of people actually excited, some people freaking out, but I hope you guys are all well. Now, YouTube is getting legit ridiculous with the notifications the last couple of days. We saw it earlier on my other channel. Tonight, I couldn't even search out I search my channel, and usually when I do that, your live stream that you hook up, obviously, is the first result, and you can share it. Wouldn't even show up tonight, so I doubt the notifications are going to be on point, but we're just going to hang out, have a fun stream regardless. I got a bunch of little topics lined up. Got some Charles Manson stuff, got some CIA, some Haight-Ashbury. It's obviously in California, the hippie drug craze of the 60s. Some Ted Kaczynski, some other fun stuff. So it'll be a fun show, we'll have a lot of different topics. Plus I have some other stuff right in the beginning of the show, and we'll just see where it takes us. We've been doing a stream on the main channel every day, and I told you guys I'd come back tonight on this channel, work a little overtime now that I got a couple days off of work. So I'm very happy to see everybody coming to hang out. Now, if you do have to get up early, this is not the stream for you. We're going to be up late. Not too creepy of a stream, but, just be a late night. What's up, Linda, Mountain, Andy? Good to see everybody. It's very nice that you guys were able to... I'm dying. Oh, no. I'm dying, guys. It's very happy you guys could come hang out. I'll probably end up recording part of the stream and maybe putting it up on one of my other channels. We'll see how it goes. These streams have been doing pretty well over here, so I can't complain too much. They're getting up to about 1,000 views. The channel's monetized, but they hit every video with some kind of copyright, so I'm trying to be a little more careful, but we like playing clips here. We like getting into it, so we're just going to have to play with fire a little bit. We'll actually start off talking a little bit about Google tonight. Hey, what's up, Keys? Good to see you. Cody Wayne says, just cuz, $5 donation on Super Chats. Now, Super Chats are available here. Super appreciative. Just always be careful that Google takes a large percentage, but I appreciate any of the help. Obviously, I'm not going to push away any Super Chats. Just be very cautious of Google's J-ishness. If you want to support in other ways, give me 1 second here. If you want to support the channel in other ways, we do have a PayPal option, and we do have a Streamlabs option where I'll read your comment on stream, and that one is actually hooked up to this channel. It's actually under Crocko Show because that was what the channel was named officially. So it's streamlabs.com/Crocko Show or paypal.me/Davey Crocko. So we got the business side out of the way. But yeah, I saw some weird things about Google this week. Someone behind the scenes at Google, and I don't think this is a situation where someone's like peeling back the curtain and they're letting the secrets out. Something happened at Google this week where you were able to search for like just things that wouldn't come up in the search terms before. Like if you wanted to type in Hillary Clinton murder or adrenochrome or Seth Rich, pick any search term that it won't finish autocorrecting you for, so something's weird because a million people have searched this before. For some reason this week, a bunch of those were uncovered. A bunch of people saw a bunch of different ones. Everyone was posting screenshots. Someone got into the system, or someone that works there was just messing around, or they're doing it on purpose to see what people are searching for. Like, oh, let's just take this off for a day and see how many people search Seth Rich, see how many people, and I'll show you a couple of them. Examples that I found, some other people found, and a guy ended up making a video kind of putting some together and talking about the conspiracy world, if you will, on Twitter. Number one, let's just get this right out of the way because this is some of the dumbest stuff, and I just want to make sure nobody's going down this rabbit hole with the false QAnon grift. If anybody believes in this stuff, please reassess your way of thinking. You really need help. You really need to get away from this stuff. But QAnon came out this week and falsely claimed that Oprah Winfrey was arrested for child sex trafficking. Now, I'd hate to break it to you guys. I really would hate to break it to you. Oprah Winfrey has not been arrested. I know it's a sad day. I know we're waiting to take the conglomerate known as Oprah down. Guys, I'm sad that it's very sad to say Oprah Winfrey has not been arrested. She's not going to be going to jail for sex trafficking, and she will probably live out her days on some Caribbean island with her girlfriend and her husband that's going to die off. That's just the way it goes. We can be mad at it. We know that she's a high-functioning witch, but she's not going to be arrested. But if you don't believe me, you can check out the video of the person that said she was arrested, and you tell me what you think.
Happening right now, you all need to understand that Orcas, which is one of Bopra, I'm going to use her name as Bopra for code for the simple.
Oh yeah, you're really throwing them off. Not Oprah, guys. Bopra. Now, I want you to watch how official this is, because when I get my news, this is the kind of production quality and the kind of person has his office set up outside. If this is your only source to hear that Oprah Winfrey was arrested, it probably didn't happen.
Fact of suppression. One of her properties on the intercoastal in Boca Raton has not only been seized, but they are excavating the property and digging up the tunnels.
I'm not playing this music. I just want you guys to know that. This is not me. He inserted this into his own video.
So what we're trying to do is figure out these tunnels that they could be looking for. Are they getting rid of them, or are they trying to find them? There's red tape all around the house as not to alert civilians, and this is coming from ground zero of her property there.
Ground zero. It's coming from ground zero, guys.
The Red Cross sign is out in the front. Remember, the intercoastal underway in these pictures that you're about to see are right behind the house, so you can't see it in the pictures, but the tunnels are being sealed up, or either they're looking for them.
You can't see it, but just guys, trust me, this is definitely her property. You can't see it per se, but just trust the plan, guys.
Trying to figure out what's going on. This is one of Bopra's properties in Florida as we speak. So I will
really throwing him off the trail with Bopra. I swear no one's gonna know what you mean.
Continue to follow up with you as soon as I can, and let's follow suit on this, but this could be something really big. I'll see y'all soon. The news is not reporting on this. They're too worried about the beer cold.
Yeah, the news is just now again, like a major operation. If this happened, if someone like this was arrested, yeah, some place would probably try to cover this up. If Oprah Winfrey gets arrested for sex trafficking, you can trust at least one news source out of the whole United States or around the world would probably pick up this story. They wouldn't be able to literally cover it from every single reporter that's ever lived. So that's why these stories are bullshit. And I think he tries to... This is their image, guys. Oprah Winfrey's condo. And they just do an overview of some place. It doesn't have any police officers or anybody raiding it. It's just a picture of a mansion. And then they show this picture that just says road closed. We don't know what state this is in. We don't know what's happening behind it. Those are obviously construction markers, not police tape. But this is the kind of shit these people pick up. And then they just show you a picture of Oprah Winfrey throwing up the 666. Like we said, she's a high-functioning witch. Does not mean that she's actually going to go down for any of the shit she's ever done. It's just a very dumb thing that QAnon is doing. But I just wanted to bring that up to you guys because I thought it was so retarded. Then you have people like this lady. I guess her name's Liz Crokin. She was one of the ones doing the Tom Hanks stuff. Now, I don't know Tom Hanks' history. I don't know. I see the Instagram, the red shoes, all the nonsense that he's into. But again, constantly making videos that you can't prove anything with and saying that he's, just because they added his name into it too, that he was actually arrested and they're going to use the coronavirus to fake the arrest. This isn't happening. So I remember this Tom Hanks stuff, and I just want to make sure that that's what she said.
Hi, everybody.
I just already don't trust this woman.
It is
Hi.
December 31st, 2019. Happy New Year. I'm just going to get right into it. Today, I'm going to focus on Tom Hanks. It's time to talk about Tom Hanks. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you have seen my social media posts.
So she goes into this whole breakdown about Tom Hanks. And I don't know if you guys remember, it was August 2018. People made a huge push for the Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks. They were trying to say that they were uncovering that this is the first time they came around and said they were going to go down for child sex trafficking. And this is the first time they really added the names in of Tom Hanks. And I remember this because there was a kid named Bill Smith, who was making QAnon videos, and I actually reached out to talk to him because he put out a couple of videos and they ended up getting huge on YouTube, like a couple 100,000 views, talking about Tom Hanks, to the point that NBC News, CBS This Morning, NBC Today, all these people picked up this story and like just fucking put the weight of the establishment media on top of this. I mean, I think he had like 40,000 subs at the point, but like he wasn't ready for the media storm that came after him for making this video. Like they really went at him bad, to the point where he was like just gone for 3 months. So like I did a bunch of investigating, reached out to like people that knew him, and like finally tracked him down and ended up like talking to him for an hour just to ask him what the hell happened. And he didn't want to go on record or anything, but I talked to him behind the scenes and I recorded it, but you know, I promised them I wasn't going to air it. I'm not going to be a dick, but I recorded it, obviously, for posterity. It's an investigation. But I tracked the kid down, and he basically was like, dude, this is fucking, they just went crazy on me, and I just had to, you know, kind of go underground for a little bit because people were threatening him and all this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that means that Tom Hanks is guilty or whatever the fuck with Tom Hanks, but this kid made one video saying that Tom Hanks was a pedo, and instantly you had NBC Today, like the top rated show, came out and like blasted his Twitter, blasted his YouTube page, like just totally besmirched him, you know, said he was crazy and going after celebrities. I mean, it was crazy. And I remember reaching out to the reporters at the time. It was a pretty wild thing. And I was looking for articles from 2018 and I actually found one, and it was out of the Washington Post and the New York Times were the two big ones. But this is how they came after him the first day. For months, a man calling himself Bill Smith obsessed over the YouTube search rankings for QAnon, where his conspiracy-fueled videos competed with those made by other believers for the top few slots of list of results. Oh, you know who else got caught up in this? Was Lift the Veil. It was Lift the Veil and Bill Smith. On Wednesday, Smith was dethroned by a rush of mainstream outlets. So he makes a bunch of videos. YouTube does not like this, so they take him inorganically out of the top spot, put mainstream things in that were getting, 10 times less views, but they say he was dethroned, who each produced their own videos explaining the conspiracy theory after its existence suddenly went viral. In a live stream with 45,000 YouTube subscribers, Smith looked at his diminished status and sounded ecstatic. He said, "I haven't been this happy in a very long time." CNN, NBC, MSNBC, Washington Post, those are QAnon reporters. Smith burst into laughter. "I can't wait until I see Smothered Shepard Smith reporting on QAnon." Yeah, so I remember watching this, and he was very happy the first day, and then it kept going, and then he's getting private phone calls, and he's getting harassed by reporters, and this thing really fucking snowballed pretty wildly, and basically had to go underground for a few months. I think he still has a channel. I think he still makes videos. Seemed like a nice enough guy. Obviously, I don't agree with him on, the QAnon stuff, but when he, went away for 3 months, I basically just looked into it. I investigated. I asked a bunch of people. I put up videos making sure that he was cool because I didn't know what the fuck happened to him. This is a guy that made videos every day and then he was gone for 3 months. So this was a big wild thing that happened around the Tom Hanks conspiracy. So when you go at people like Tom Hanks, they will come for your throat. I think I saw a couple people in the chat remember him. Yeah, like I don't really agree with anything he had to say about the matter or the obviously none of the QAnon stuff. But as far as being a dude, when I talked to him, he seemed like a nice enough dude. Shout out to GC for the $3 donation through PayPal. Appreciate it, buddy. Very helpful. But I just wanted to kind of get that story out of the way because I saw the Oprah thing and I was like, fucking all over again, man. They're really going to keep going with this shit. All right. I did want to talk a little bit about this Google thing. So let me pull up the links. Got a couple screenshots of what happened here. Then I got a small video. And you'll kind of get the idea here of the bunch of search results on Google finally started showing up out of nowhere the other day. Now, we don't know the reason behind this. We don't know if there's an insider at Google that decided, just fuck it, I'm going to make it so people can search for these things. We don't know if there was a hack, or we don't know if this is a decision by the company so they can figure out what people are searching and just let the searches go like normal for a day. I think it's back to normal now where you can't search this stuff. Someone obviously changed the Democratic logo with a rat instead of their normal logo. You got the horse, the elephant. They changed it with the Democratic rat. So obviously someone's doing something. Also, you could search for adrenochrome. But I have a little podcast that someone put together with a bunch of these. Someone said I saw the rat thing. Yeah, this was up for like a few hours. Like, very weird. I know nothing about this channel. I'm not supporting. I'm not saying anything about it. This was just a video that came up. It's only got 172 views. I found it. It's got 0 likes, one dislike. But he had a couple of the things pulling up here.
Weird happened over the last couple days, which is that Google inexplicably uncensored or unblocked lots of material that was previously censored. Now, most of this was conspiracy theory related. Now, obviously there's many conspiracies floating out there about how and why they would suddenly open these searches if you've been paying attention to it over the last couple days. But let's go over where this came from. So these are a few Reddit posts by several different users where they were just searching and using older search engines and then researching the same topic to show that the results in fact had changed. Now this is pretty common. We'll get into it later that Google updates and changes what's discovered when you use certain keywords or key phrases. A lot of times they use that for legality reasons. They can't show you illegal content, but a lot of times they also use it to kind of censor things, and we'll get into that later. So the first one was that someone discovered that searching Seth Rich, someone that the conspiracy around him is that members of the DNC or Hillary Clinton or someone involved murdered him because he leaked information to WikiLeaks. A lot of times when you'd search his name in the past, apparently it would just come up with the official reason he died. It would come up with debunking videos, and that's going to be a common theme here.
Yeah, so like with most things, when you type Seth Richards, it's hilarious. Seth Rich in the past, you would get Seth Richards, Seth Richardson. Just obviously Seth Rich is going to be the number one search if it was an organic thing. Now, I've showed you guys videos before from like Truth Stream Media and these other people where they've put in 5 different search engines next to each other and they put the same search term in and you get different results. But Seth Rich, they were just banning. And there's been a lot of weird censorship and a lot of weird things going on this week. YouTube putting the message out saying that they're going to have more artificial intelligence, so expect more videos to come down. I saw friends of mine from ROTC, like literally their tweets are coming up deleted. I'm going to see if I can pull up a screenshot and share it through. I'll put it up on Discord and pull it up. But very weird. Like literally he tweets asking like, can anyone see my tweets? And if you actually pull it up, it comes up deleted. I got it right here. I can look how quick I am. So like he had this tweet up. I'll zoom in for you guys. Let me see how that comes in. All right, so you can see under above and below Dick Masterson's tweet, this was a full tweet from Royce asking him a question. You could see it on the main page, but if you clicked on it, it said the tweet is unavailable, and his reply to it saying like, dude, you really can't see this shit, came up unavailable. So there's some weird shit going on right now.
Same thing came up with controversial paintings and images found inside of Comet Ping Pong or Comet Pizza, famous pizza shop in D.C. that was the center of Pizzagate. They had a lot of paintings up, which was supposed to be a family restaurant that clearly depicted acts of pedophilia. And those pictures, when you'd search for them, used to not come up as evidence. So you could search up and look here, I have the proof that the paintings are creepy and hanging up.
What the fuck? Never mind. Had a whole long thing there. I said Glitchmod had a very funny take. He said, okay, boomer. Hilarious, Glitchmod. You're on top of things. It's good to see you. Good to see you're not dead. One Step Too Far said to check his Twitter, see if they're coming up. Yeah, I turned the audio off when I'm pulling up the clip. I don't know how long it was out. Pretty long. Damn. I'm trying to figure how far back it went. Did it go all the way back to the art? That's not good. So basically, with the Google searches, you couldn't search for the Pizzagate art. Now you pull it up, it's the first result. Very unprofessional for me to be muted like that. I understand if you guys want to leave. How far back did it go? I think I was saying that these are just... Did you guys... did I read the super chat or was that muted out? I'm fired? Okay, guys, I gotta go. Yep, you guys are firing me. It's over. Couple minutes. Jesus Christ. At least I look at the chat. If I didn't read it, Waterhead with $5 says, thanks, Doc. You and ROTC make me want to drink Drano less. Appreciate the hard work. Then I went on a little ramble about how these are just kind of bonus, chill streams. Very happy to do them, but just hanging out. We got the main channel, very animated, doing a lot of shit. We got the Spooky Sunday show here, which is, highly produced, and I try to do the best job with that. And then we got these little hangout streams, which have been very fun. All right, cool. All right, well, we're back on track now. No worries. If we were muted for a minute, I definitely apologize. I do my best. At least I keep an eye on the chat, so I do catch it if I mess up. But I try to mute myself while I'm playing the clip so the sound comes in nice. I think he had a few other examples.
Blood is then adrenalized, and a lot of people believe that ancient cultures, like cultures that had sacrifice, would consume this blood, and it would be like an upper high.
So the adrenochrome uses actually comes up right under it. Usually you search adrenochrome and it's like, it's a bunch of articles debunking and, talking about it, but they don't give you the exact definition of what it actually is. So Again, it's just a little weird glitch in Google on the same week that there's a bunch of other weird little glitches going on with Google and YouTube and a lot of these big tech firms, a lot of weird little shadow banning things, censorship things, and in this case, uncensorship of things. So I don't know, man. It's just a very weird thing. All right. So that show is called the Fringe Center Podcast. I don't know anything about it, but he did make this video. No one's given him a like yet. I don't know if I can be the first one to do that. But if you want to help the guy out, he's only got 229 subs. So I'll give him a like and a sub just for making the video that made me aware of this little Google thing. I think it's the right thing to do. Now, what we need to do is get into topics. So I want to... Do you guys want to watch a 5G video that Odd Reality made, or do you want me to get right into the Charles Manson cult, CIA, fucking LSD, hippie, 60s culture shit? I can do either one. It doesn't really matter. But Odd Reality made a new 5G video. It's about 10 minutes long, and it's pretty interesting. I figured we can get that and watch it together because it just came out yesterday. And then I can do the whole topic of the Charles Manson and not get off topic. So I'll give you the link for it first, because great channel.
Hey, I'm reloaded.
That's his intro music. I don't condone. Here's the link. It's Odd Reality or Odd TV. You guys may know him. Always very well produced videos. Let me see. Coronavirus with $3 through Streamlabs says there's some weird meeting of the reptilian minds at the Vatican with the globalist elites on May 14th, 2020. It's a reinvention of humanity convention. I guess I'm done by then. It was a good run, homies. Thank you to the coronavirus with the $3 donation. At least you're tipping in your parts, or you're fucking up a lot of people's lives right now. At least you're giving Davey Crocko some money. Pay the doctor.
What exactly is the coronavirus? Let's have a quick overview of its meaning. Coronaviruses are actually a large family of viruses that cause illnesses ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases.
Definitely just want to get to the 5G.
And you're going to keep being had until you wake up. So pay attention. To answer the question about the coronavirus, and there's only one truly important thing that needs to be broken down here, and that's the fact that COVID-19 is significantly linked with the infamous 5G network. Yes, as many of you are already aware, the pandemic coronavirus is connected to 5G technology, which is a type of directed energy weapon.
Now, just so everyone's clear, I have my own thoughts on the 5G. I have my own thoughts on the coronavirus, and this channel is about going into the weird, conspiratorial, and the fun. So don't take everything to heart. Don't start yelling at me about what conspiracy theory. We're just having fun. I just want to make that abundantly clear before anyone starts lashing out.
Several researchers throughout the world have highlighted the coronavirus and 5G link. Meanwhile, organizations like Google and Facebook are doing their best to hide this information from people. Whether it's so-called fact-checking services or just blatant censorship, some of the information shows that Wuhan in China was chosen for the 5G rollout. It went live in October 2019, and that's exactly 2 months before there was a corona outbreak in the same area. Now, many people all across the plane, including concerned citizens, scientists, and even government officials, are becoming aware of the dangers that 5G pose.
He stuck the plane in there. Don't think I didn't catch that.
This is why it's already banned in some places. such as parts of the UK,
Facts.
a handful of places in the US, of course, Washington, D.C. would be on that list, Switzerland, Ireland, Germany, and Australia. It's a radical and entirely new type of technology. A military weapons technology disguised as something beneficial for the masses. Again, this is DO technology, from the same family of technology that pulverized the Twin Towers in 2001, and more recently caused all the crazy California wildfires.
Yeah, we're just going to go there. Nice little 5G video. I'll play a few minutes of it. See, someone's telling me that he believed in the flat earth. I don't care what people think the shape of the earth is. It's just not even interesting to me. It's something I never think about when I roll out of bed. I never think, oh, starting my day, what shape is the earth today, so I can pick out what shoes I'm going to wear.
It's just so strange to me that all these things keep happening and nothing is ever done. Like 9/11 and Sandy Hook. Because now we've had this 5G network being...
Oh, it was nice knowing it's nice knowing you guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out on this channel for the few months that we had it. It's been a great run.
slowly implemented over the past couple of years, and it seems like pretty much everyone knows that it's not good. Yet, it just keeps right on coming. Many scientists and other scholars have talked about the negative consequences of 5G, noting that the effects include increased cancer risk, cellular stress, increase in harmful free radicals, genetic damage, structural and functional changes of the reproductive system, learning and memory deficits, neurological disorders, and negative impacts on general well-being in humans. Not to mention, the damage goes well beyond the human race, as there is growing evidence of harmful effects to both plants and animals. 5G damages the immune systems of trees and kills insects. But why were people and animals tested on for such a harmful project? That brings us to Agenda 2030, or what we used to know as Agenda 21.
And he just gets into Agenda 2030. I'm not going to break the whole thing down, but if you guys want to check out the rest of his video, I figured I'd give you a little clippy of it. I always like little fun 5G videos, especially, people just keeping it alive. It's a good thing to research into, especially when you start looking into them forcing people to live in places, these smart homes, these smart cities, and they're building these things next to people's homes, the cancer risks that come from it, building them next to schools, installing schools with them already close by, and it's just a topic that a lot of us like digging into. But that wasn't the main topic of the stream, so I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole there. Now we're just going to start off with some kind of normie articles, videos about Charles Manson, and then we'll start unwrapping the CIA ties and what was going on in that district during that time period. So I'll be pulling up links a couple at a time here. I had tried to do a Charles Manson video, I'd say a few months back on my main channel, and that actually got me a strike. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what in that video got me a strike, but they did not like my coverage of Charles Manson. So we'll do our best here to not get kicked off, or at least demonetized. We'll see what we can do. So some of the most infamous cults in history. The Manson family murdered 7 people over the course of 2 nights to start a race war. Helter Skelter. This is the official story of it. In the late 60s, Charles Manson brought together a group of displaced young people and called them his family. They settled in Spahn Ranch, a sprawling former movie studio near Los Angeles where drugs were free-flowing, mandatory orgies were enforced, and Manson pushed his ideas about an imminent race war. There was obviously a bunch of studios at the time in LA that were just there for making propaganda films and to push the agenda onto the masses. I forgot what actor. Is it Jared Leto that owns one of those studios now? Or he owns the house where one of these studios were at. The cult leader told his followers he wanted them to go on a killing spree. On August 8th, 1969, a few members of his cult headed to a Beverly Hills home and murdered 5 people, including actress Sharon Tate. They wrote the word pig in Tate's blood on the door. The violence continued the next night when Rosemary and Leno Liabanca were murdered in their Los Feliz home by Manson followers on his orders. Rosemary was stabbed 14 times. Manson was convicted on first-degree murder in 1971. So these are kind of the official stories that you get. Charles Manson cult kills 5 people. Again, it's the same story of the same people that were hurt. Then they get into Manson, born in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1934 to an unwed 16-year-old mother. Spent much of his childhood in juvenile reformities and his early adulthood in prison. After his release in 1967, so instantly from 67 to 69, this guy turns into what we know as Charles Manson. So it said Jared Leto is on a meditation retreat. That could be true. I don't know if it's him. I gotta look this up now. One of these actors. Yeah, it is him. And I'm talking about Laurel Canyon, Lookout Mountain, this kind of stuff. But yeah, Jared Leto bought this former Los Angeles military compound that they used to push out these films. If you guys never have heard of Lookout Canyon and Laurel Canyon, it was just an historic military compound in LA's Laurel Canyon. The compound in question last traded hands in 1994. Laurel Canyon compound, often referred to as Lookout Mountain Laboratory, was originally built in the 40s and used into the 60s as a military film studio. Among other classified projects, a small army of filmmakers and photographers with top security clearance made training films and documented military research on the atomic bomb test. So it was literally a military/Hollywood studio to push out propaganda and other just weird shit about the agenda. Yep. The Doors, Jim Morrison. So you guys know this story. We've talked about this stuff before, but yeah, this is when they were creating rock stars and just really immersing themselves into the culture, and just where you couldn't tell the difference of what was the military and what was actual reality of the time, because they used the zeitgeist of the time. If they weren't creations of the government co-opted them or were spying on them and made sure they infiltrated them. A lot of the CIA at this time, and that's what we're going to get into in this video. What the CIA was just part of it. You can't break down everything in one video. There's so much shit that was going on. But they said after his release in 67, he moved to California, used his unlikely magnetism to attract a group of hippies and set up a commune where drugs and orgies were common. They always like to throw that in there, like, Manson was just making all the drugs, getting all the drugs. But we'll get into, during the 60s, you had doctors and the military pushing these onto all these people, where they were actually setting up, little brothels and other places to sell out of. Manson preached his own blend of eccentric religious teachings to his acolytes. They always use these words, just people who call themselves the family. He told them of a race war between blacks and whites was imminent. So it's the same story when you look up the official story. It's basically what I'm trying to get to. Any official story of Charles Manson never mentions the CIA, just never mentions any of this shit. So we're gonna have to take a little deeper dive into Dr. Jolyn West. We'll talk about the book Chaos that came out that investigated this. There was I think it was a Rolling Stones writer that was tasked to do a story on Charles Manson and ended up uncovering all this shit, and he wasn't allowed to write it. So I said Crocolites. No, we're not a cult, guys. We're not allowed to do that. We already got a violent terror organization strike one time. We can't afford to get another one. But this is the LA in the time of Charles Manson. So this will just give us a little kind of image of the time period, and then we'll kind of move to the articles. And this is going to take us down a long road of the CIA with different brainwashing clips, different LSD experiments. So we're just going to have a little fun with it tonight. Like I said, I tried to make a video about this before. I think it's up on Bitchute, but yeah, YouTube struck it down immediately. So we'll see what happens with this one.
You know, you could party, a lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, a lot of fun, and free love was all over the place. It was a great place to live.
Really felt like the most magical place to live and be, and anything could happen there. We all thought, wow, we're going to make a huge difference in this world. We are going to inspire and uplift those squares. That's what it was like.
And it really was a perfect storm. I mean, all those things that coming together, wanting to leave the 50s behind, and the drugs and music, and then the influence of the drugs had on the music. We really thought we had discovered something new. We really thought we discovered the answer, drugs. Now, sorry, that isn't the answer we found out, but we really thought that was really, wait a minute, we really believed, for a while anyway, that was the answer.
You're young and you think you know what the hell's going on, and that's exactly what we felt in 1969. But we didn't know. And it can turn ugly really fast.
Charlie was a really sharp little man coming out of prison and jail, and so if you can survive there in those institutions, imagine what you can do on the street where everybody's peace, love, and tie-dye and stoned. Charlie must have been in heaven, I can only imagine, because he went.
When Summer of Love hit, the community was total craziness.
Summer of Love, man.
Thousands of young people on the streets. I opened the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic in June of 1967.
Okay, so Haight-Ashbury will be a big part of this, the area. It's very important to this. Someone said Jay Dyer has good shit about Hollywood. Yeah, I've seen some good videos from him. Someone said something Phoenix on Tripoli show. I don't know anything about that. Someone said make some t-shirts. When I can afford to, I'll just make some t-shirts and give them away. I'm not looking to get in the t-shirt business yet. I'm not really big enough to, really get into all that. But, as we keep growing, it's something I'll probably end up buying some and then just giving some out to people. And that's how we'll kind of start that thing.
And after interning at San Francisco General, I studied clinical toxicology here at UCSF, and as a result, I became the local drug expert and ran the alcohol and drug abuse screening unit. The streets were jammed, there was tour buses seeing the hippies, there was the rock music going on in the park, the Grateful Dead.
So it's always the major universities of the time, the top laboratories that are behind creating these drugs, behind distributing them. They're the epicenter of where these psychedelics and other drugs are going out into the culture, which they push to the public as a organic hippie movement, which it's not.
Jefferson Airplane, Janis Joplin, all the kids were tripping out on drugs. The city actually tried to stop us through its regulations when we went to them to try to have a regionalized health clinic, and they said, no, you can't do it. So we found an old dentist's office at 558 Clayton Street. When they opened the doors, there was about 250 young people lined up down the street. And they came in with gonorrhea and cut feet and colds and pneumonia because they came.
Great times. Summer love, guys.
From all over the country, and they thought it was sunny in San Francisco in the summer, and it wasn't. And it was make love, not war. And so there was all the sex, and there was all the drugs, and there was all the lifestyle. And so we were jammed from day one, running 24 hours a day.
So you make sure you give these people the ultimate freedom to have as much sex and do as much drugs as they want, and they feel really empowered and free. But at the end of the day, they're not. They're just in this little test subject in California where they can keep an eye on their work and see what drug overdoses amount to, and see what all this free sex and love amounts to. And they got their nice little petri dish out there in San Francisco and other places in California. So as I said, with Charles Manson, a lot of stories aren't reported about him because they like keeping the official story intact. So we'll get into, illusion of freedom. Someone said, sell guns and ammo. Yeah, that'll be, I think I'll be off the platform within, 10 minutes. that someone will fucking report me. Man, if you guys knew the amount of gay stuff behind the scenes of people reporting your videos and like not just copyright stuff, because that just happens, but like the amount of people that just, oh, I don't like him, so I'm gonna try to flag your video. Like, it's unbelievable. So if they catch you saying something like, I'm gonna sell that kind of stuff, they'll just, oh, this guy's illegally selling weapons. Even if you make a joke, they'll try to come after your videos. It's crazy the amount of videos people have tried to take down of mine. Like I said, the Charles Manson video got flagged for a community guideline. I remember the video. We didn't talk about anything insane. Someone said, are mugs off the board? Yeah, I'm never selling any mugs, ever. Just, I'm sorry. The amount of times I've made fun of them, how would I look selling a mug? All right, guys. Reporter uncovers history-changing Manson family connections to the CIA in Hollywood. Forget everything you knew about Charles Manson. So this came from something called Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. The crimes of the Manson family resulted in one of the most famous murder trials in history. But new research has come to light that could totally change the history of the case. Much of what was to be believed to be true about the Mansons' murder and the cult that carried them out comes from a narrative that was spun by prosecutor Vince Bugliosi. Vince Bugliosi? I don't like that name. Vince Bugliosi. Both during the trial and in his book, Helter Skelter, the best-selling true crime novel of the time. Helter Skelter was what they called the imminent race war that Charles Manson was trying to pop off by killing an actress and a couple people in Hollywood. I don't see the connection how that starts a race war, but, he's crazy, man. That's basically the narrative they want you to think, that he's just so crazy and he got all these people to kill people and he wanted a race war. Open and shut. Now, nothing about the murders made any sense. There was a strange cult of hippies that were killing celebrities for apparently no reason. And the young people carrying out the crimes seemed to be under the spell of charismatic lunatic and failed musician named Charles Manson. Bugliosi created a narrative that Manson and his followers had no personal motive in the killings, but were attempting to instigate a race war by framing the Black Panthers for the crimes. However, in the years since, many researchers have had trouble making sense of the story that was established by Bugliosi. Manson was certainly a racist and problematic in a variety of ways, but there is ample evidence that the story we have come to accept about the cult and their crimes is a total fabrication. Over 20 years ago, journalist Tom O'Neill stumbled into the Manson case while on assignment for the entertainment magazine Premiere. I apologize, I said Rolling Stone earlier. It was Premiere was the magazine at the time. It's now out of print. At first, O'Neill wasn't very interested in the case, thinking that the public already knew the full story. He's like, I don't want to write about this. I want something fresh. I don't want to just rehash Manson shit. But as he attempted to put together the softball article, he was just going to write some BS about Manson. Like about how the murders impacted Hollywood, He quickly began finding clues that would ignite a lifelong obsession. O'Neill's new book, Chaos, Charles Manson, co-authored by Dan Piepenbring, details the decades worth of research that began with that assignment. As O'Neill began reporting on the story and conducting interviews with police and prosecutors involved in handling the case, he found significant evidence that some kind of cover-up was taking place. Upon further investigation, he learned that Manson was far more connected in Hollywood and the entertainment industry than initially believed. In fact, there is compelling evidence that Manson was a figure somewhat similar to Jeffrey Epstein, who is connected to high-profile figures through a child trafficking operation. It is often underplayed in dramatizations about the Manson family, but many of the young hippies in the cult were actually underage girls. O'Neill's research suggests that Manson was popular in Hollywood because he trafficked these children to various record executives, famous entertainers, and rich patrons. Now it's coming back to me why they took the video down. The case becomes even more suspicious when considering that Manson and his cult seem to be protected by the government and local law enforcement. Manson had committed multiple crimes while on parole, but was released on numerous occasions. And you can see these documented throughout time. I mean, if this guy was constantly out on the streets doing drugs, being involved in his cult and the teachings he was doing, they could have wrapped him up on parole violations whenever they wanted, but they didn't. O'Neill's documents how the LAPD knew what Manson was up to for a long time and did nothing. And you hear this all the time in cases. Whenever there's a shooting, oh, well, the FBI had an eye on him, or the LAPD had an eye on him, but they didn't stop him before he committed the crime. And there's evidence that they look the other way in previous murder cases involving the family. Now, O'Neill admits that he could not determine why the family was being protected, but as he researched more, he found a complicated web of possible explanations, all of which were backed up by well-documented evidence, including admissions from people involved in the case. Now, one of the most interesting angles revealed in his new research is that the Manson family was in regular contact with a notorious doctor who worked in CIA's MKUltra mind control experiments. Now, a lot of these famous so-called crazy people always end up having some kind of connection to the MKUltra program or some kind of CIA program. You'll see it with Ted Kaczynski, you'll see it with Timothy McVeigh, and you can just go down the line. Kaczynski famously was in humiliation experiments at Harvard. But the doctor Manson was connected to was a guy named Louis West, or Louis Jolin West, or Jolly West, as they called him, UCLA psychiatrist. This guy performed Jack Ruby's psychiatric evaluation, was a major player in the CIA's mind control experiments. However, not all of these experiments were in the lab. Some of them took place out in the public, in the form of taking surveys and observing people in their day-to-day life. And this is where you come to Haight-Ashbury in California. The same place that we showed you was the epicenter of them opening up their little health facility. Yeah, that was these people running experiments, keeping eyes on people. Now, West, the doctor, the psychiatrist here, was fascinated with the hippie subculture, conducted open-air experiments in San Francisco's Haight neighborhood, which was the epicenter of the movement at the time. In one case, he set up fake hippie crash pads in the community so he could secretly observe the hippies in their natural habitat. It's a good way to put it. The CIA also set up free medical clinics in the neighborhood under the pretenses of giving them free medical care, but with the covert goal of examining them and using them as test subjects, just as I was telling you before. Here's a picture of good old Jolly West. Let's look at our buddy there. Yeah, he was into some sick shit, huh? Yeah, some people don't know about this part of the story, but I love this shit. This is the real interesting stuff. Berkey said no notifications tonight. Where's everybody at? It's a smaller channel, man. You know, we get less people over here. It is what it is. No big deal. Now, the Manson family regularly came through this clinic, and another psychiatrist who worked on the mind control experiments with West even embedded himself in the cult for several months. So you got infiltration, you got observation, you got drugs being passed out. You can see how they can manipulate a person down this road. Now, West was deeply connected with the Manson case, but was strangely absent from the trials. This is even more strange considering that he often took every chance he could to speak as a witness in the cases where a brainwashing expert was needed. Just imagine that. He's the go-to brainwashing expert. Now, many of the files of what happened to MKUltra were destroyed shortly. We obviously know that. They destroyed most of the files after the public learned about the program's existence. So the extent of West's research may never be known. However, O'Neill's research provides plenty of circumstantial evidence that West was working on mind control experiments involving the training of remorseless assassins or Manchurian candidates, using a combination of hypnosis, LSD, sleep deprivation. Is it a mere coincidence that Manson used these very techniques to train once innocent people to kill on command? So the inference here is that Jolly West worked very close with Charles Manson, who used those tools, maybe with Jolin West and other psychiatrists of the time at these centers, to brainwash the people around him. Now, the book also explores other threads to the story that are just as interesting and well supported. including the possibility that Manson was sort of an agent provocateur sent by the government's COINTEL program, which we've talked about many times, to diminish the peaceful image of the hippie generation and scare rich white celebrities away from supporting the Black Panthers. Now, we don't got time to go into COINTELPRO, but we've gone over this with the MLK assassination and just other ways they use COINTELPRO to infiltrate. It is possible that all of these theories are true, but after 20 years of research, O'Neill just isn't sure. Everything's kind of, shaded in mystery. Now, Bugliosi, the guy that wrote the famous Helter Skelter book, was aware of O'Neill's research for a number of years and went through great lengths to intimidate him. In one case, while he was up for election for district attorney, he beat his pregnant mistress until she had a miscarriage because she refused to get an abortion. In another, he stalked a former milkman and threatened his family after becoming convinced that his wife had fathered the child with the delivery man. So that's the famous Bugliosi who wrote the Helter Skelter book. It's the kind of guy he was. And we'll go a little further into this. If anyone's interested in that book, it's called Chaos. I had read it, an ebook on it, and I'm reading a Ted Kaczynski book right now. But Chaos was a very good book. I highly recommend it if you're into what I just said to you. It's a whole book of this research and much more in depth. I'm going to try to blow this up a little bit. Some of these articles are just, they're not your standard article. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America. And this talks about Louis Jolin West, director of UCLA Neuropsychiatric Institute. In a lawsuit currently before the LA Superior Court, it has come to light that the University of California at Los Angeles and UCLA have since the early 1980s attempted to remove psychiatrist Louis Jolin West from the roster of the university's faculty. One psychiatric colleague who has to go unnamed described West as supremely arrogant and charged that he misused his position for his own ends. Many will not find such statements surprising, considering West himself, whose history includes controversial LSD experiments for the CIA and even more controversial plans to construct secret installations for the, quote, study and modification by electric shock, chemical castration, and other means of the behavior of citizens, particularly minorities. Indeed, any discussion of CIA mind control endeavors such as the infamous MKUltra would be incomplete without West. In a document released under the FOIA Act, for example, it was revealed that more than 4 decades ago, the CIA sought to set West up with the clandestine laboratory to perform mind control experiments with hypnosis and LSD. So you're going 4 decades back from when this was written. You're talking in the 60s. With LSD and other drugs in which West was enmeshed at the CIA's behest and were exposed in the mid-70s by the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence is when they came out with the report on MKUltra. West's career's highlights included injecting a 7,000-pound bull elephant with an overwhelming dose of LSD, roughly 1,435 times the quantity. In West's own words, one would have given to a human to produce for several hours a marked mental disturbance. Not surprisingly, the elephant collapsed in agony and minutes later died. So this guy gave enough LSD to an elephant to kill it. That's the kind of doctor we're talking about that was working closely with Charles Manson. So it's just fun little stuff, Now we'll play some clips here. We're not going to make it an all-nighter here, but we'll play some fun clips. Talk about Operation Midnight Climax. Now, some of you may have heard of this before, but I'll quickly explain it to you. Operation Midnight Climax was an operation initially established in 1954 by Sidney Gottlieb. You guys should know that name. They call him the father of mind control. But he was obviously behind the MKUltra program, and placed under the direction of the Federal Narcotics Bureau in Boston, Massachusetts, under the pseudonym Morgan Hall for the CIA as a sub-project of MKUltra, before the program was shut down. The project that started in 1954 consisted of a web of CIA-run safe houses. So they opened up these brothels in San Francisco, California, New York City. It was established in the order to study the effects of LSD on unconsenting individuals. So they would literally set up a brothel. There'd be a CIA member. They'd say she was a prostitute, or you'd have a guy say he's a drug dealer. Then you would give these people the drugs, and literally this was just a lab for them, but they would make it into a brothel to lure these people in. And it was called Operation Midnight Climax. This is the kind of shit that was going on during that time. And we'll play some old documentary style stuff.
I need a guarantee. I do this thing for the company, and I get my commission back.
Guarantee, baby. The CIA is the way.
Never thought I'd be a spook.
Look, this ain't just any liquid, man. It's like Coolsville don't cover it, baby.
Everything's under control. What? These broads know the score.
Just make sure I get my 50 a week, G-Man.
Those ladies of the evening, they know this means cash. And that's all they need to know.
I'll take the first shift.
Sent to the Allen, which was the psychiatric ward of the Royal Vic. Every time I had the nitrous oxide, I felt like I was spinning into spinning without faster and faster, and I always thought, is this how it feels to die? And I never knew if I'd ever come out of it. And it really, I didn't like it. It really left me feeling very, very angry and very depressed afterward. And I didn't like all the pills that I was taking. I couldn't swallow them with water because they were always afraid that I wouldn't keep them down. So a nurse was always watching me until I swallowed them.
What can you tell us about Dr. Ewan Cameron?
Now, Ewan Cameron's another famous MKUltra name. You have Sidney Gottlieb and Ewan Cameron. That's your mainstream, official designated swim lane names that you're going to get all the time. Samuel GWR with the $5 donation through Super Chat. No comment. Appreciate it, buddy. Very helpful right now. I should let you guys know, what are we, about an hour in? We'll play a couple more clips. If anybody wants to support what we're doing here, this and the other main channel, obviously Spooky Sunday's coming this week. You can do so through PayPal or through the Streamlabs link, which is streamlabs.com/Crocko Show. Or we obviously got the super chats. I do forget about that. Someone was asking why there's not a lot of people here. It's just what the channel is. We're still growing over here. Plus, it's late night, no announcement.
He wasn't liked by the patients. We all stayed away from him. We all made beelines away from him whenever we saw him. We were terrified of him. Nobody really knew why, but we were all terrified of him. Once we were at the Allen, we didn't have a choice. We couldn't say, no, we don't want this. It was, we were given medication and we had to take it. Some people I know were restrained to take because they didn't want their medication. They were restrained and they were forced to take the medication.
What were your thoughts
were
when the
very
CIA
surprised,
brainwashing was exposed?
and angered, and I would say somewhat frustrated that nobody really intervened.
Well, yeah, they were experimenting on you. Of course, no one's going to intervene. Now, like I said, just like with Charles Manson, just like we've talked about Timothy McVeigh with the OKC bombing, Harvard and the making of the Unabomber, a series of purposely brutalizing psychological experiments may have confirmed Theodore Ted Kaczynski still forming belief in the evil of science while he was in college. Ted Kaczynski was in Harvard, and he was entered into these weird experiments that ended up being humiliation rituals that he was constantly put under. And when he left there, he was a different person. This is the person they ended up, ended up being the Unabomber, which was a famous case, and they used to stoke fear throughout America. But obviously, like with all of these cases, you can trace it back to some weird program at a high-level university. And this article really gets into it. In 1971, Kaczynski moved to Great Falls, Montana. That summer, he began building a cabin near the town of Lincoln, 80 miles southwest of Great Falls, on a lot he and his brother David had bought in 72. In our desire to leave civilization, Kaczynski and I were not alone. Many others sought a similar escape. I first heard of the Murray experiment from Kaczynski himself. We had began corresponding in July of 1998, so this is years after he's talking to the guy. A couple months after a federal court in Sacramento sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole. Kaczynski, I quickly discovered, was excuse me, very good in his correspondence with me, well-spoken guy. Sometimes his letters came to me so fast that it was difficult for me to answer before the next one arrived. The letters were written with great humor, intelligence, and care, and I found he was, in his own way, a charming correspondent. He has apparently carried out a similarly voluminous correspondence with many others. I'm actually reading Ted Kaczynski book right now, and it's very detailed. He has apparently carried out a similarly voluminous correspondence with many others, often developing close friendships with them through the mail. Kaczynski told me that the Henry A. Murray Research Center of the Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study, although it released some raw data about him to his attorneys, had refused to share information about the Murray team's analysis of data. Kaczynski hinted darkly that the Murray Center seemed to feel it had something to hide. One of his defense investigators, he said, reported that the center had told participating psychologists not to talk with his defense team. And this was the Harvard experiments in 72. The Harvard study aimed at psychic deconstruction by humiliating undergraduates and thereby causing them to experience severe stress. Kaczynski's anti-technological fixation and his critique itself had some roots in the Harvard curriculum, which emphasized the supposed objectivity of science compared with the subjectivity of ethics. Before his arrest, he demanded the Washington Post and the New York Times publish a 35,000-word manifesto called Industrial Society and Its Future. So yeah, humiliation rituals on undergraduates for psychic deconstruction.
Student volunteers in a psychological study must watch films of themselves being insulted.
Child playing with big ideas. Sir, I just wrote down what I think. I thought that was the point of the exercise.
What were you thinking at this point?
I was angry.
Shout out to CP for the $3 New Zealand donation through PayPal. Appreciate it, my friend.
Angry.
During the interrogation, student heart rate, breathing, and skin resistance were measured. The boy, codenamed Lawful, recorded higher stress levels under questioning than any other participant.
This was a very intense kind of interrogation in which the individual's thoughts and feelings were directly attacked. It's hard to imagine that someone could go through this and come out undamaged.
The experiment that started over 3 years ago is finally over. Lawful graduates from Harvard, gets a PhD in math, and at age 25 takes a job teaching at Berkeley. But he also has violent nightmares.
You are sick. You are one sick little boy.
In 1969, he quits his job. He moves to a simpler life in Montana.
He gets more and more reclusive and distances himself from his family and develops this philosophy based on the idea that civilization and technology are incompatible.
Thank you, psychologist Dan Shapiro. Appreciate your insight to the case, my friend. But yeah, these, content issue detected. Probably gonna make sure you guys can't rewatch it on the replay. Unbelievable. Every single time. I mean, what more can you do between pausing these videos every 30 seconds and just trying to play stuff? I'm gonna be wrapping up soon anyways, guys. I just wanted to get through some of the Charles Manson stuff and then just kind of, show you what they were doing with Timothy McVeigh or Ted Kaczynski. You can always make these ties to Timothy McVeigh and other, major cultural crazy people that, by their words, crazy people that went on these rampages and violence and cult-like mentality. Always trace back to a CIA program, a university with weird experiments, and there's always something behind the scenes. Now, they'll call those are just anomalies. He was always going to do this. But you can always trace it back to those, which is very odd. Dragonstall donated $5 through Streamlabs, and he says, for your quarantine fry oil fund, 07. Appreciate it, my friend. Yes, I need all the oil I can get. Make sure to pay your doctor so I can survive during these harsh times, and I can fry everything that we need. Did about an hour and 15 minutes, which is cool for a late night stream, and I thought it was just a fun little topic to do, and that's what these hangouts are going to be. We'll always pick kind of one topic and do like a mini deep dive into it and just talk about the other side of it that we never get into, that the mainstream will never tell you, and some of these channels don't even go that deep into some of the CIA connections. I saw a lot of people saying they never heard of that part, they didn't know about the little brothels and stuff. This is just stuff you uncover in your research, and it could be theories of an investigator, but they're always fun little avenues to go down, and it's my favorite shit to relax and watch. Like, this is what I like watching when I'm not making my other content or researching stuff for my other content. I like the conspiratorial, historical CIA dark project stuff. But I appreciate you guys all hanging out. So I said Wacky Wednesdays. Yeah, we've been doing these hangout streams. Like, we did a bunch on the Doomsday Cults. I mean, I think we're up to a good number of podcasts now over on this channel, and they're all hour and a half, or, around that time. So definitely going to be something I keep up on. We hit 1,000 subs and we're monetized, so it's very nice to have that over here. But, we focus way more on the main channel, and then we do the definitely every week. If there's never a podcast, we're always doing the Spooky Sunday full show. That's always going to be here. We're almost on week 20, then we're going to take a break for a week, and then we'll be back with the second season of Spooky Sundays. Appreciate you guys all hanging out. Like I said before, if you want to support the show, we have Patreon, Streamlabs. If you want to do it while we're off air, you can do so through PayPal. And I'll give you guys the link one more time before we go. Have to hammer it home during these next couple weeks when I'm out of work, because fuck it, I'm going to be streaming my ass off. Might as well. And, people are always asking about support, so here you go. And we'll be back on the main channel tomorrow for another stream, maybe in the middle of the day again, maybe at night, I'm not sure, but we got another full show coming on Davey Crocko 2. If you're not subbed there, go to Davey Crocko 2 and sub there. And yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out. Hope you guys enjoyed the topics and had a little fun. Go get some sleep. And as always, I will see you in the next one.